everyone, welcome to Write With Us. I'm Micah Craddy, as it says below, the head of writing at Arc Studio and Butterdocs. Arc Studio, of course, is the app for writing your scripts, and Butterdocs is the app for writing everything else. Before we go into it, I want to know, where are you and what are you writing today? And our discussion question is, how do you choose your characters' names? When you're writing, how do you choose your character names? This is always like a thing because we're inventing these people. We have to give them names, and I'm just kind of curious how different people go about that process. So where are you? What are you writing today? And how do you choose your character names? If you're watching on YouTube, please hit subscribe, turn notifications on. And if at any point you feel compelled to hit that little like button, do it. Like it. Thumbs up. If this is your first time, I'm so happy you're here. This is Write With Us. What is Write With Us? Well, it is a time for you to sort of tune out the rest of the world, set aside this little space, and just focus on your writing. Obviously, a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. And I just want us to be able to use this space as just kind of a time to block everything out and just focus in on our writing. Tune out all the distractions, whatever else is going on, and just give your brain a little vacation and just focus it on your writing. So we do 3 writing sprints. We do a 15-minute writing sprint, then we take a little break, then we do a 25-minute writing sprint, then we take a little break, and then we do a 30-minute writing sprint. And during those writing sprints, I'll put a timer on, it'll count down, some music will be playing, and you just focus on whatever it is you came here to write. And then during the breaks in between, if you have any writing questions, then you can drop those in the chat, and I love answering them and getting a discussion going and talking about writing. And then, of course, during the second break, I'll show the sandwich of the week, which is always a treat because I love sandwiches, and that's just kind of one of the themes of Write With Us is sandwiches. All right, so to answer these 3 questions myself, to get things going also, I am in sunny Los Angeles, California, beautiful day. I'm working on turning a half-hour pilot into an hour. And it's just kind of a pilot where I liked the half-hour version, but the more I revised it, I realized there was more story in there. I needed to deepen some of the relationships and other things in it. It needed an hour, so that's what I'm doing. And then when it comes to the character names, I have a few different methods. There's one thing I wanted to show you. Because one thing I like to do is use like census data. So if I have a character that's like, I don't know, 37 years old, I can like go do the math, be like, okay, what year were they born? And then like see what names were popular then. And there's actually a website that I like to use that's really cool that was actually created by a screenwriter, I know, just for this very problem. It's called Randy, RANNDY.com, like random names. And what I like about it is you can actually like put in data you want. Like, okay, so it's a male and I want a name that's like not that popular, born at like, that in the year 1996 or something. You can do, and that's for the first name, and you can do like the race for the last name. You can do starts with, and it just generates all these like kind of random names using that criteria. Yeah, and so you can kind of just like, you don't have to use one of the full names, but like you can just use, I like that first name, I like that last name, whatever it is. And it's pretty cool. And again, it was created by a screenwriter who like was facing this problem. Yeah, Simon Gans was his name, and his initials are in the corner there. And it's pretty cool. Yeah, so check it out if you're looking for something. But then I'll also do things where like sometimes I'll just like look down at my keyboard at the letters and be like, all right, what letters have I started names with so far? And like, what haven't I used? And be like, L, and just start thinking of L names. And then other times, I'm trying to go for like a very specific vibe or something. And it's just kind of a process of trying a name and then being like, that's close, but it doesn't work. And then like using find and replace and then like changing it and like going back through and like finally, trying to land on a name that works for me. Great. Loving people in the chat. Everyone's getting active. Cash in Texas, taking a break from a short film to work on a graphic novel. Awesome. Nick in Montclair writing a skit for a sketch comedy writing class. Oh, that's so fun. I did some sketch comedy writing like in college and stuff, and it's so much fun. That's awesome. Nick, glad you're here. Sarah in Queens, New York, writing a vomit draft of her screenplay. Awesome. Let's see here. Katie at home, continuing to do a story about family history. Yeah, Kim in Washington, D.C., just writing a reflection today. Awesome. Nephi, I invent. Oh, this is cool. I invent names, often from Korean names, since I used to have a Korean roommate, and the names are great for fantasy stories. Oh, that's fun. Elia is back. Italy, as always. So glad to be back for skipping last week. Writing a short based on a story I wrote years ago, starting tonight. Fantastic. Elia, when you missed Sandwich of the Week last night, people in the chat were like, oh no, Elia is missing it. And he's always like the most excited about the sandwich. So I'm glad you're back. Let's see here. Cash says, usually Google's names based on certain criteria and choose from the options. Awesome. Kim likes to take names from the middle names of friends and family members. That's kind of cool. Like middle names are just like lying there, kind of like hidden in plain sight sometimes. And they don't really get a chance to shine. So I like that idea of like taking the middle names from friends and family members and everything. Sarah also chooses character's name based on the vibe of the character. Look at a list of names that have that vibe. Yeah, it's sort of weird if like there's a dominant personality trait or something about that character that you just like want, or like maybe there's a solidity to them. They're just like a very solid person, or maybe they're just sort of flighty or whatever it is. Just like sometimes it feels like you're just trying to find that thing that just perfectly encapsulates this. Mary in LA, first time joining. Awesome. So glad you're here, Mary. Hope you get some great writing done. Sketch comedy. Great question. I need a last name for a main character. Ooh, maybe you can get some thoughts going for Mary if she's got any more info on what her character likes. And Nephe's in the Monterey Bay Area. Elia is saying names are tough, although I usually write fantasy, so it's different. I could talk about it for an hour. Non-fandoms to me, it's hard to separate a name from people I know with that name. Yeah, that's definitely true. Like sometimes I'll think of a name and then be like, oh, I love it. And then think about someone I know with that name and be like, oh, is that the right vibe if that person has it? Or also, and I'll think like, oh, if this gets made, is that person going to think I named the character after them because I know them? You know, like you always do these like mental gymnastics. Foxy the Fox in Michigan working on a drama that keeps changing. Well, hopefully you can like wrestle it down and figure out what it is and move forward on that. Let's see here. Kim in Syracuse working on a blog post to pull names from ancestry genealogy research. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's also really important if you're writing a period piece. Within like a specific time frame or part of the world or something, like looking up at those names. It's also probably just like a great source of names that aren't too common. Like if you want a really unique name. Alexa, welcome back from Atlanta. Pick names from the vibe of the character, but they're always subject to change. Yeah. My characters often, if I look back at like my notes when I first kind of start brainstorming about stuff, and then till later, like the characters' names often will change, especially at the beginning. Because it is like writing is, I always say like writing's an exploratory process, but I always just feel like you're creating these characters, but weirdly at the same time, you're also just getting to know them. Like it sort of feels like sometimes they exist on their own and you're just kind of trying to meet them and figure out who they are. So sometimes you'll get a name and you're like, oh no, they're just not that. That's not their name. And then you just kind of have to keep moving until you find it. Nick's character names are always deliberately symbolic, but in a way that only I can understand. I love that. I love when you can have a secret meaning to you. And I'm of the opinion that kind of thing bleeds through. Like, even if it's not explicit or just like really obvious to other people, like what the meaning is, I always feel like if the writer cares, like that's going to show in the end product, so that's cool. I like that, Nick. Jeff in New York varies for me on character's name. Sometimes I try to come up with a name that somehow ties into what the script is about, like a thematic connection or something, or plot. That's pretty cool. Charles in Denver, working on a screenplay, but would love to hear thoughts on character beats. How many should the story have? I don't have a method for naming character. I just pick something. Charles, we can maybe talk a little bit more about this later, but I just have to say kind of like, I don't really think in terms of that, of like how many characters beats a character should have. I just think they just need to go on a complete journey. And I always think about it more that way and kind of like on a scene level and a beat level, like what do they need? Where are they in their journey? What's motivating their actions? But again, especially for me, because like I think of writing as an exploratory process and stuff. It's like I don't break it down systematically in that way. Christine in Northern Virginia, I believe Nova, as people call it, we're writing a drama. I choose character names just by the vibe, like many others, but I love checking the census idea. Yeah, it's really cool just to be like, if you want it to have a ring of, was it verisimilitude? You want it to like feel real. Just be like, okay, what were people actually naming kids when this character was born, you know. It always is nice. Denise in Nashville, still revamping a pilot outline. First names pop in from memories of folks that may have a trait or two of my characters. Always fun coming up with them. That's awesome. I like that. Ashford up in Canada, going back to my notes and pitch Bible after taking a long break. Awesome. Good luck getting back into it. Jim in Indiana. In first draft, use names of actors or people I know who come closest to aspects of the characters I'm writing. Oh, that's cool. So you're kind of like channeling aspects of those people into the character. And then I guess as you know, you sort of refine it and change them as they develop. I like that. Nick, glad you're here as well. Neil, happy Wednesday. Work on a script, stuck on Act 2. Hopefully make some progress today, man. We're going to get into it in just a minute. Annie, welcome back from Toronto. Fixing short film script to match with the treatment document. I go back and forth. I'm working on both simultaneously. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. You know, you're going big picture and small picture. Oh yeah, check the sandwich from last week, the day after the live. Another piece of art. You know, that's our connection, man. Our love of sandwiches. That's great. Yeah, baby name books help too. Yes, exactly. And there's all these like baby name websites like that are just like full of like just names. Like the internet is just full of lists of names. Let's see here. TJ from Atlanta, welcome. Choose what sounds cool and then look up name meanings to help inform the character. Yeah, that's cool. I'm kind of surprised you're the first one to actually mention that, because I know a lot of people will do that, like name meanings. Again, even if that's like not commonly known, like for the audience to know what the name meaning is, like it's just sometimes it can just give you a better sense of them. And like, I don't know, put them on a more solid footing. That's interesting. I like that. Down here, your website's called Social Security and your name is, I don't know, but let's see here. You're in Cabo working a web series, Social Security web series, it's right in the name. Fractured my wrist on my biking accident last week, so typing with one hand. Oh my goodness. Well, best of luck. Maybe this will just give your thoughts more time to like marinate before they make it down to the page. And Neil's working on a script for the BBC Writers Room competition. Cool. Michaela from Slovakia, Baby 9 sites. Exactly. Yeah, got some Atlanta connections going here. Cool. All right. Anthea, welcome back. New Jersey, getting to your third novel. Awesome. And this was TJ, right? In Atlanta. Yeah, working on turning my half-hour animated pilot into an hour. I'm turning a half-hour to an hour as well. Cool. Awesome, guys. Loving the vibe today. I feel like we're going to get a lot of writing done. That's my mentality. That's what we're going to do. So I think we're just going to hop into the first writing sprint. This is the 15-minute writing sprint. The music is really chill. And I think it's very helpful just to kind of get in the right headspace, figure out kind of where you were, you know, last time you were writing, what you were dealing with. Yeah. So wherever you are, get your script or your novel or your essay, whatever it is, get it open. Maybe you're just doing some work for your job and you have to be just inputting data or whatever it is. Get it going. I'm going to put 15 minutes on the clock and we'll meet on the other side. And again, if you have any screenwriting questions, of course, feel free to, or writing in general, put them in the chat and we can talk about them in the next break. But yeah, 15 minutes on the clock. Catch you guys on the other side. Here we go. All right, everybody, and that brings us to the end of the 15-minute writing sprint, the first of our 3 writing sprints of this afternoon or evening or early morning, depending on where you are throughout this big, beautiful globe of ours. How's the writing going today? Let me know. Are the words flowing? Are the muses with us? What issues are you dealing with? Anything in your writing that you want to talk about? Problem you're facing? Feel free to get in the chat and yeah, do it. It's all right for me. I have a little trouble getting into it. But yeah, like I don't know, it's a slow start. I always feel like the 15-minute one is like a bonus. It's just the warm up. It's like the 25-minute sprint is where the writing really starts to happen. So earlier, Charles asked this question about your thoughts on character beats, how many the story should have. And it's kind of funny because this one really stumped me a little bit, just in the sense that I think it's fascinating how there are different approaches to writing. Like writers are so different because I just don't think of writing in this way. And maybe it's because I was, I didn't go, like I just kind of read a lot of scripts and wrote scripts. Like I didn't early on read screenwriting books or go to school for it or something. So I very much am like a gut writer. So my answer to this is that like I just kind of go by my gut. Does it feel like the character's story is complete or not, or does it need more beats? And I'd guess a lot of writers kind of go like that. And I would guess you'd actually know that too. Like if you like listed out your story beats or just thought of your story, I think you've probably read or watched at least enough movies to know like what a complete story feels like, and whether or not you need to add beats to your character's story. That said, sorry, there's a aircraft flying overhead. If that's loud, I never know what my microphone is picking up or not when it comes to like the squirrels fighting outside and the helicopters flying overhead. That said, we talked about this a little bit last week, kind of in a different way. But like if it's feeling short, just going back to the characters, like and what they want, why they want it, their external goal, what they want, their internal goals, why they want it, and like what their journey is, and are they facing enough obstacles like on the way on forward. So that can help if you are feeling like there isn't enough story there. But I do feel like you probably have an intuitive sense about like whether you have enough character beats. I'm curious if other people want to get in the chat and kind of like how they approach that thing. Do they, have more of this sort of kind of formula or systematic approach, or like do you go with your gut? Alexa, I'm finding myself stuck on a character creation sheet because the options are endless. How do you narrow things down for yourself? Again, I just start. We were talking about this in one of the Q&As I did recently with Richard Manis, and it's when you're working on a character creation sheet, like knowing backstory and stuff can be helpful to some extent, but it's only helpful in how it affects your story moving forward, right? So you don't really like where they grew up, and like if they had a mean teacher in third grade, like all these kind of things when you're building these characters, you really just need to focus on like how will this affect the story moving forward? What will affect their actions, what decisions they make, the surprising things they do, the kind of obstacles they face, the self-sabotage that they're going to do to themselves, the strengths, their weaknesses. It's all about moving forward. So I always try to think on that. And then again, I know I say this, I feel like a little bit of broken record, but I probably say this like every week, but it's always back to the character, just like knowing who they are, what they want, and why do they want it. And then just building off of that, I think, is really just the thing that's important. So if you know that, then you can just kind of go from there. I think like what they want and why do they want it is where I would always start here. Sarah's asking how often I write. Every day, for the most part. Recently, I've been writing early mornings. So like this morning, I was writing at 6:30. And yeah, that's kind of been when my writing is. But I mean, not like some days don't. It's not like every day, but in general, I do it. Yeah. Christine is saying, first time joining this event, the sprint format has been extremely helpful. On my own, I've struggled to stay focused and motivated. Yeah, I mean, that's an endless struggle. One thing I can say that's really helped me is that, like, when you are writing, there's a million things that can happen to distract you. And so doing things like just leaving your phone in a different room, like little things, if you do little things like that, it can add up to keeping you focused. Elias asking, how do you choose which story to write next when you have, let's say, 3 good ideas? Are there some pro cons to evaluate something like this, or is it just feeling which one you could be better? I mean, I will say one thing is like, what are you most excited about? But all things equal, this is actually something John August said that I heard. I think he was on Mike Birbiglia's podcast. And he said, whatever one has the best ending is the one you should write, which I think is kind of interesting. I think I like 93% agree with that advice, but like, because in the sense that like the ending is the hardest part, like whatever, if you have a great ending, if you can make it land. And this is something also, if you look back at the Q&A I did, it was called like a producer's advice for screenwriting for screenwriters, which is also on our YouTube channel. I asked her, like, what's more important, like endings or beginnings? And she said endings. She said, like, if you can land the plane, I can help you get there. And I think that's, something, looking at endings can always also be very helpful. But then it's, again, also like, what are you most excited about? Because like you actually have to write the thing. So which one are you more likely to finish? Like which idea do you actually is motivating you to sit down and write it? Because that's like the most important thing. If you don't sit down and write it, it doesn't matter. Like you just have to do that. So I would start there. And then if you just can't tell which one, then maybe think about which one you think has the best ending here. Metro Mary ended writing a dialogue conversation had on my intended topic. Now I'll be able to expand it. Awesome. Glad you got some writing done here. Sarah's saying she also goes by the guts for the character beats. And Ilya, love the advice for the ending. It's usually the easy part for me. Oh, interesting here. Cool. All right, y'all. Let's keep moving. Let's get some writing. This feels like a day for writing and less a day for me talking. So we're going to move on to the 25-minute writing sprint. Again, if you got more questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll chat. We'll talk more in the next break. But 25 minutes on the clock. Music picks up a little, gets a little funkier. We get in our groove. We do some writing. So I'll catch you guys on the other side. Here we go. All right, that is the end of the 25-minute writing sprint. How's it going? Did things pick up? Did things fall short? Did the muses arrive? Did they abandon us? Let me know. Get in the chat. I got some questions to go through, and then I'm going to show the sandwich of the week. Cash was asking, where are good places online to get sources for research? I mean, just Google, right? I mean, generally Google questions, and then you go from there. I mean, Wikipedia is also just fantastic to start with for like, I mean, there's like two different kinds of research, right? There's like breadth research and depth research. And so like Google and Wikipedia are good for like breadth research, just like simple questions, things. But then it's like you can also identify sources that are have depth to them through those things. So Wikipedia article, you can look at like, what is this Wikipedia article citing? Like look at the sources and you can find more information there. Or you can find books, which still exist and still have great information on things. And there's a lot of books actually that are online as well now. But yeah, I mean, starting with Google is like Wikipedia is all it always works. Ooh, some outline talk. Sarah's asking, do you guys tend to create a detailed outline before writing or just jump in and find the story as you go? I was constantly finding new ideas after my outline, so I just decided to jump into my current screenplay, but I just hit a wall. Not sure if I should go back to the outline to revise or keep going. Yeah, no simple answer to this one. I mean, for me personally, I generally tend to come up with a fairly detailed outline to start with, and then it just sort of changes. And from there, it's more shorthand and beats as the story develops. Um, but yeah, I mean, there are writers who will basically write out everything almost in like novel form first, like a treatment, like very detailed before they write their scripts. There are writers who will just write just like a list of beats and move, from there. And that's enough for that in their head. So it depends stylistically. But if you hit a wall, I think that's a great time to go back. And like when we say outlining, that can mean a lot of different things. I mean, like if you hit a wall, I think that's a great time though, just to go back and look at your story in general. And I mean, in writing, we often call it breaking the story, which is like figuring out the beats of the story. And if you hit a wall, that's a great time to go look back at your story. And you need to identify like why you hit a wall, what's going on in your story, and then you can move forward from there. Nick was saying there's a moment when I realized the story thesis of what I'm writing has solidified itself. That's when I finally go and make an outline. However, I get there for I'm writing. Yeah, I mean, I think this goes down to style. Like some people have to start writing something in order to get the ideas going. And then from there, they can do an outline. Or some people are just more kind of natural outliners who will do that and then go back the other way. But I'm kind of similar, I think, to what Nick's saying right here was like, there's a moment where like, I always think of it as the like, tell the story to your friend moment, like the moment where you can tell the story of whatever you're writing to a friend, like in a way that would get them excited. That's when I know like I have it. And that's, I think, when I outline, which I think is kind of similar to what Nick is saying here. Ilya switching back and forth, tend to switch between the outline and writing, but I don't know if it's good. Yeah, I mean, if it works for you, it's good, I think, is the idea. Oh, here's another question. This is interesting. Any tips on adapting a short story into a script? Yeah, so a short story, I mean, this is happening a lot. A lot of short stories are being adapted and being bought or optioned or whatever, but like used as IP for things. Obviously, they're really different forms. Like short stories are short for one, but like short stories tend to capture often like a moment in time in some sense. I mean, or several moments, but like it's like it's a window on something. Oftentimes, the short story is like the most important moment, right? It's like focused in on that thing that's happening. So there's a couple ways you can go. One, that moment in the short story could be a part of the script, right? Like maybe the climax or the most important thing, and then you sort of like build the story from there. But really, I feel like what it comes down to is just like figuring out what the essence of this story is. Because you're going to have to write something new to adapt it into a movie, right? Because there's just not enough material. It's not like a novel, where the information's mostly there and you're kind of figuring out how to present it and what to present and what not to present. Like in a short story, it's just like you have a feeling, an encapsulated moment, something, and you sort of are identifying like what that thing is, like what's at the heart of this, right? And how do I almost transplant that heart into a script, or how do I build something from that? But again, it's like looking back at like, what is the je ne sais quoi? Like, what is the thing at the heart of this story? The central problem, the relationship, like what is it? And how do I tell a larger story, based on that thing? And like, you can't be afraid to change things, because you're going to have to change things. Like there's not a one-to-one, relationship between the two. So that's what I would say. All right, I'm going to show now the sandwich of the week. And the highlight of this one is pickled onions are back. That's what those beautiful little pink things are in there. We're doing black sesame again, greens, avocado. We got some mustard there on the right. Some mayo. This was a really good sandwich, I have to say. Turkey on this one. The old sandwich of the week. Which I feel like actually I'm going to start eating less sandwiches recently, but I'll try to at least eat one a week. But I feel like I need to vary my lunch diet a little bit here. I was reading about how like lunch meat is bad for you. And so I'm like, I eat a lot of that. So I need to change up what I eat. It's a good frame. You're right. It does kind of like go with it. The bread in particular, I feel like goes with it. Yeah, it's black. It's like a black sesame bread. It almost like weirdly tastes a little peanut buttery, the bread. I guess it's the sesame in there or something. But like it's delicious, and like the crust is like such a good bread. Pickle on the side. Usually put pickles in the sandwiches, but like I might do that. I might have a pickle on the side here. Where do you get the sandwich? I make this sandwich. Yeah, all the sandwiches of the week I make. And I did eat it already. This one, I think it was yesterday's sandwich. Today's sandwich, I actually used a tuna salad sandwich, which like was very good, but I feel like tuna salad is not photogenic. Like it's just very clumpy and just doesn't look great. So there we go here. Great sandwich. Yeah, pickled onions are so good. My fiance pickles them and they're like fantastic and I love them. So there you go. All right, there we go. The sandwich of the week, everyone. Let that inspire you. Let that be your muse. And we are going to jump into the final. Wow, Jason coming in here with the Warren Zevon. Love it. Enjoy every sandwich. I'm a big Warren Zevon fan, actually. Werewolves of London, Lawyers, Guns, and Money. Excitable Boy, fantastic. Love me some Warren Zevon. Maybe I'll be humming that in my own head as during the next writing sprint. But okay, so what are we at? Yeah, I think we're gonna do the 30-minute sprint now here. Couple things. Yeah, next week, obviously, we are doing Write With Us again for Arc Studio. You can RSVP. There's a link in the description, YouTube, arcstudiopro.com/events, and you can RSVP there. I also wanted to say, I've been doing these lessons. There's 4 how to write a great TV pilot lessons that I've made so far. They're linked in the description also. And lesson 5 is coming out probably end of this week, which is about writing the first draft of your pilot. And so that lesson's going to contain like things to think about when you're starting and some tips for scene writing. And then in a week or two, lesson 6 will be posted, which will be about revising and like kind of like polishing as you go. Yeah. So you can check those out and look forward to lesson 5. And I think also if you like turn notifications on, you'll get a notification for when I post lesson 5. But if not, an email will go out probably on Monday about it. Love just vary the fillings with healthy options. Yeah, maybe that's it. I think like it's just like my brain is so like set on like protein is meat is protein. And it's like I need to get away from that. I also think I'm going to start eating more salads. So there we go. All right, y'all. But now I think it's time to finish it up with a 30-minute writing sprint. If you have to leave, don't worry about it. Write With Us is, come and go as you please. I love to see a little farewell in the chat. I love to see, you can tell me, there is something about like salad of the week that just does not have the same ring to it I think it's mainly because like the bread is so beautiful, like it does a lot of lifting. But maybe I'll try to take some photos of salad and like see if I can make it look good here. I do love rotisserie chicken. Yeah, y'all and Portobello's here. I appreciate this. I appreciate y'all looking out for me here and chipping in. This is what creativity is all about. All right. Sarah's got to head off. Sarah, thank you so much for showing up today. Yeah, if everyone else, if you have to leave during the sprint, please just say farewell in the chat and let me know how it went today. And if for the rest of you, if you're going to stick around till the end, I will get a final farewell. But yeah, if not, thank you so much for coming. I'm so glad you're here. Love the energy. Feeling really good today. So I'm going to do the 30-minute writing sprint then. And yeah, if you stick around to the very end, I'll get a final goodbye. But if you have to go, no worries. 30 minutes on the clock. Let's do it. All right, everybody. For those who are still left for the full time, that brings us to the end of our last writing sprint and the end of Write With Us for Wednesday, November 6th. I want to thank you all for coming. I hope you had a great writing session. Love seeing people in the chat. Feels like a lot of people got some good writing done. It's always a highlight of the week. So thank you so much for coming and being so active in the chat, asking questions, chiming in on people's answers. It's great. Again, hope to see you next week. You can RSVP for Arc Studio at arcstudiopro.com/events. If you're on Butterdocs, don't worry, you're going to get an email. Yeah, if this was your first time, I hope you come back. Yeah, it's a great community. So until next week, everybody, be kind to yourselves and happy writing. Well, I'll see you later.